So you're a product manager and you're working in a place where all you do is just to release things. You're just doing a half of it. And at the end of the day, when you're not found as valuable, right, doesn't really make any sense anymore.
This is genuinely one of my favorite conversations. I talk about breaking into product management with Joke Akintara.
Hi, hello. My name is Joke Akintara and I'm a senior product manager.
Joke is one of the most brilliant product managers I know. So today we are doing coffee and talking about product management. Why product management of all the tech roles in 2025? Why product management in 2025?
Hi, everyone. So, product management is going to be more important than ever before in 2025 because now we have a lot of new technologies coming on board. We have the AI revolution. People are scared of so many things. A lot of people are also going entrepreneurial. You can have a good idea, you can have the entire team, you have a designer to build it, you have an engineer to build it. Who coordinates that entire process, who carries the vision through to reality, who guides that team into one singular idea. That's the job of a product manager. Product managers are that link between ideas and execution.
What is your advice for someone who is trying to break into product management today, 2025? What is your advice for, what steps can someone take to break into product management today?
For anyone getting into product management, you're either one of two categories. You're either already working in tech, maybe you're an engineer, and you want to move into tech, or you're a designer, or you work in business development, right? Or you do not work in tech at all. Maybe you're just fresh out of school. So there are two different categories, and my advice for those two are different. If you are just getting into tech freshly, like you don't have any experience in tech at all, my advice is usually what people mostly do is that they go to look for a course. And while it's not bad, what happens is people get into a cycle because you finish one course, then you go to the JD of a particular role. You now say that, oh, you don't know ABCDE. You're not going to look for another course. And then just go into a myriad of courses and courses. And then you ask them, say, I'm trying to get into, well, you've been doing that since 2021. It's like, guy, what are you doing? So what I usually tell people is just go right into it. Go right into it. Get your hands dirty. Whether it's you're working you're working on a project by yourself, right? Find out the fundamentals of product management. You don't even have to make it overly theoretical. It's like art. If you want to start painting, you're not going to start learning, oh, who was Picasso? You just get a brush or you download an app or something, right? Same thing with product management. It's an art as much as it is science. So just get right into it. Find someone that is building something if you're not building something and just add your inputs, right? Try to execute. Product management is an art of execution because you're managing time, you're managing costs, you're managing people, resources, right? People always think, oh, the longer you take, the better it is. No, you're trading time, right? So sometimes you want to prioritize and maybe do those trade-offs. There are even sites now where you can just form a team or join a hackathon or something.
What kind of sites? What sites?
So I currently have a team I work with called the product's called Talentvo. You meet other designers and engineers, get into a team, you work on a demo project. It's really good.
What are the top 3 skills for anyone who is trying to get into product management to have?
Top 3 skills. So number one, so they're hard skills, they're soft skills. Number one, I'll say communication. As a product manager, people have to respect you because you're not given the title leader. There's no crown on your head, but you're going to have to lead. Because as a product manager, you're coordinating efforts, you're coordinating business effort, customer success, designs, right? So if you're not able to bring those people into one space and get them to listen to you, you're going to have a very difficult job, right? So one thing I tell people is emotional intelligence is kind of like a part of communication, whether it's like spoken communication or verbal or not non-verbal communication, right? So that's really, really big. Number one, get one really good hard skill. I always tell people, find your superpower. If you're a very visual person, like you, for example, you're a very visual person, you'll be able to tell good design from bad design, right? So go in deep into your one big thing so that on your team, when they know that when it comes to this X thing, you are the subject expert at it. People have to be able to trust your decision making.
Yeah.
If you're coming from
A technical background?
you are a very perfect candidate for product management. they are beloved in the industry. In fact, it's much more easier for you to get a job if you already have like dev skills, right? Soft dev skills. So hone into that, understand the code. You're able to tell, because a product manager, an engineer can tell you this thing will take 2 days. If you understand code, you say, "God, no, they whine me. This thing, me and you know that you do it in 2 hours." Do you get? So teams always love when a product manager has those skills. I wouldn't say you don't have to have that before you start. It's something that you can learn along the way. But another good skill to have is to be analytical. Doesn't mean go and learn data analytics. So it's not what I said. If you learn that data analytics is good for you. In fact, it's something that you can learn along the way as you get more senior. But and being analytical is different. Being analytical is seeing data and being able to make a decision based on that data. And there are two types of data. You have qualitative data, you have quantitative data. Quantitative data is data you can measure. Okay, we sold 1,000, we made 100,000. That's quantitative. But qualitative data is, okay, the users did not like the color blue. They prefer the color red. How do you know that? You have to watch what people are doing. You have to do user interviews. You have to talk to people. Then you can make qualitative decisions based on those data. So being analytical is really, really great.
How do you transition from a non-technical role into product management?
First, now say, don't quit your day job. Don't quit your day job. The easiest way to transition into product management is internally. If you already work in a company, they have a product department, plug yourself there. Whether they employ you as a product manager or not. That was how I got started. I didn't even know it was product management I was doing. I was just interested in their new products, right? And I was volunteering. Over time, they were like, oh yeah, they recommended me. They went to my MD directly. They went to HR directly and converted my contract, right? Because I was already interested in what they're doing. You can't just all of a sudden wake up and say, I want to join you guys when you haven't shown any interest. So the first thing you want to do is, if you have an existing internal product team, get involved with what they're doing. Then over time, you can also let your manager know about your interests. Like, in the long run, I want to be a product manager. Is there anything I can do? If they employed you as maybe a graphics designer, they still needed a graphic designer, right? So you might mean that you have to do multiple things. When I first started, I was doing multiple things. I would do my day job in the morning. In the evening, I would do my product stuff. So in my CV, I didn't have to start my product career from when I actually got my full-time product job, because I was already doing product management even when I was a business development manager. I also transitioned, right? So the easiest thing that you can do is internally. Another thing you can do is to go to your HR directly and let them know if they have any role if they have an opening for a junior product manager. Instead of going to recruits on LinkedIn, they will do an internal recruitment, and they will even come to you directly because you've already made that request, right? The other thing is, most tech roles are filled by referrals. Many employers have gotten beaten badly. There are people that want to just come and work for them just to have that name on their CV. So if somebody can recommend you, you're already twice as likely to get that job than someone that is making a fresh application, even if you don't have a skill at all. So that's why nepotism is popular. It's not because people want to hire their brother, sisters, uncle. It's because they can go to that guy and say, the person that you recommended for me. Another thing I do is find peer mentors. People always look for the blown guys. They want to go to Confidence Stably to teach them cyber. Does Confidence have your time? Apart from her not even having your time, she's a little too advanced for where you want to start. You want someone that can take you from point A to point B, not point Z, right? So the people in your circle that are already doing the thing, let them be the ones to advise you. I have like my board of directors. They don't know that they're in a board, but I know who to meet for what when it comes to that certain area, and it's just been the best thing. So they are the ones that would say, hey, there's an opening in my company. I even had a conversation with someone yesterday, right? She was like, oh, there's an opening in my company. Another person told me, I'm applying for this role, I'm about to get it, but they also have this role. I'm telling the person that you've applied. I've not applied yet though. I'm telling the person that you've applied, look out for this name, right? So those are just some easy ways. Don't look for the sky to open and the angel to come and say, dear son.
What are your tips for someone who just got their first product manager job? What can they do in the first 3 months to make the best first impression?
The first thing you want to do when you get a product manager role is to understand your team. You're going to be in their faces a lot. Product managers are the pests. There's a very thin line between being respected as a boss. You're going to be their boss in a way, because you're going to be calling a lot of shots, right? Even if they're not going to give you the term. If you're good at it though, you have a very good shot at getting a senior role. That's the good thing. But there's a very thin line between being a boss and being a pest. The thing is, if you're my friend and I always come to you, right, and we have a mutually beneficial relationship, you're less likely to see me as a pest, right? But if you don't know me and I don't know you, and I'm always coming to you, I'll be an irritating thing, Navi. As a product manager, you want to build relationships. Not because you would want to do office politics, no. It's because your job is literally dependent on it. So the first thing I do when I join a team is to do one-on-one conversations with everybody, every single person, one-on-one, not group, right? So you want to know them personally. What's their work style? Do you like face-to-face conversations? Do you want us to go grab coffee? Or do you want a call? Do you prefer your calls in the morning around 10 o'clock or in the afternoon around 4? Not, oh guys, our meeting is by 10 o'clock. They will just say, this one just came from nowhere. You get? So, okay, when do you like to work? 4 o'clock, 10 o'clock. Okay, what's your best food? Are you married? Do you have children? So some of my bosses, if I can't afford things for them, I buy things for their kids. Children's gifts are cheaper. I buy my developers food. There's nobody that you buy food that will not do your work. So it's just get to know people personally and be genuinely interested in them as human beings, first of all, in your first week, right? Another thing is when developers work, they're not machines, they're human beings. If a developer does a project and you show him the impact of that project, they are more likely to want to do another one with you because that thing is building their CV. Yeah. It's easy for them to say in their resume, I launched X product and in 3 months, it gave us this revenue. But when the engineer is not aware of what you did with the last thing, you're just giving them, oh, do this, do this, do this. You become a bother to them, right? Mm-hmm. So that's the first thing. Understand your team and keep that open loop of communication. The other thing is know your products inside out, right? And the analogy I like to give for this is when you've been working on a product for too long, you become biased. You've been too into it. See finish has entered. So you're not really able to see the big picture. But when you're new on the team, you're coming with fresh eyes, right? You're able to see things that people have not noticed with it. You're kind of like a customer, a new user. Yeah. So document all your experiences with the product before you also become biased. Because after 3 months, in fact, after 2-3 weeks, you become biased as well. Because you're going to also be involved in that project to note things down and say, okay, my first time I used the product, these are the things I noticed, right? Document that. Explain to the team your rationale behind the things you want to change. From that list of things, you will now find the low-hanging fruits. Okay, when I came in, I did not notice the sign-up button. Let's make it bigger. When you now make it bigger, okay, since we made the sign-up button bigger, we made it bigger on the 20th of December. Between the 20th of December and the ending of January, on the 20th of January, sign-ups have improved by 10%. Your boss will be like, oh, okay, we did not waste our money by hiring this person, right? So those are some of the things I like to do when I first join a team. Find a low-hanging fruit, something to solve. Document all your experiences. Get into one-on-one communication with the team. The last thing, aside from your team, you want to go for leadership. So your hiring manager or your boss or your MD, your CEO, talk to them a bit more regularly. Understand their pain points. Because that's the person that is spending money. That's the person that is paying your salary. So, for example, he might have something in particular that is bothering him in particular. So you're able to take that back to the team and say, okay, guys, I want us to make room for this particular thing. And then you can come back to your boss and say, okay, give me 3 weeks and that thing will be solved. Then that person starts to see you as a doer.
I have one question.
Okay.
What is the difference between a project manager and a product manager?
Very good question. The answer to that question is what I said in the beginning about output and outcomes. A project manager works with a scope, cost, time, and human resource. They have to know how to manage all those things to solve a list of problems. So they're working with that list of problems. And of course, they have fancy frameworks for that. Sprint, Scrum. Product managers can use those frameworks as well. But ours is not really outputs. We can do outputs. In fact, a good product manager should be able to do project management to a good extent, right? But what is the essence of that output, right? So you're doing strategy, you're doing product strategy, you're doing product analytics, right? You're doing execution, you're launching, you're doing market research, you're doing the go-to-market strategy, you're working with marketing, you're working with customer support, you're talking to customers, you're talking to management, you're talking to shareholders, you're talking to partners. So it's beyond just scope. Yeah.
What are certifications you would recommend for someone who is a year into their career in product management, or who is getting into product management?
If you're already in product management and you want to upskill, the first certification I recommend is data skills. Learn SQL. This is ironic because I'm not a fan of data. Very ironic. I ran away. I started a course and I dropped out. This is just in total honesty. But the more I get more senior into my role and trying to find more international roles, it's a product manager that is able to go into the database and derive insights without needing a data analyst or needing another person is such an insightful thing, right? You're double respected. Imagine you're arguing the conversation about numbers and you just go there and say pa pa. So what do you have to say now? These are the numbers, right? You're a lot more respected. So I'll say understand data, right? So you can break down, you can work in any industry, right? That's one. Number two, understand UX. There's UI, there's UX.
Yeah.
The UX part is customers' emotive reaction to design, right? So when you understand customers' emotive reaction to design, it's easy for you to understand why you're doing what you're doing. It's not just about aesthetics. Is this thing actually functional, right? Can you sit down with a designer and tell them what to do? If you stay with a designer, I have designer friends that do not like their product managers. It's very common. How can you tell me you don't like the design? Why don't you like design? And you're not able to communicate why. It's like, it's not nice or it's not giving. What do you mean it's not giving, right? When you say, oh, try this different shape.
Yeah.
Or you say, oh, try moving that to the left or to the right, or that's not center aligned. Then they know that you understand what you're saying, right? The other thing I would say, this one is, well, just so you can remain competitive, is understand how you can integrate AI into your work, right? A lot of product managers work on, I'm looking for the English, they work on activity. Because product management work does not finish. If you sit down in product management, you will be there all night, day and all night. But then smart work. I work in a team now, and many teams are like that right now, that if you waste 2 hours on a task, it will tell you, you should have used ChatGPT. And people are like, oh, I don't want them to know it. They know. Use it. In fact, I'll tell my boss, this was gotten through ChatGPT. He's like, let's get that out of the way so we can focus on the important stuff. Right? So understand how you can use AI in your work beyond ChatGPT, right? So that you can either use AI to enhance your work or integrate AI into your products, right? Just two different things. Integrating AI into your work process and integrating AI into your products. Those are two different things. So understand how to do those two different things. If you can justify using AI in the product, right? You can also include that you are an AI product manager in your CV, and also your company can also get that value of using that, right? But then work smart, guys. There's nothing again like you're using 2 hours to write, and again, the time of 100-page documents is gone. Nobody's going to read it. Or product managers sitting with Jira tickets, nobody's going to look at it. Engineers don't read, unfortunately. Get straight to the point. Know how to make your points. Simple one-pagers, simple Excel sheets, one sheet, right? Straight to the point. Right, so yeah, that's what I'll say.
This is my final question. What is your one advice to anyone in product management or trying to get into product management? Just one advice.
Build your leadership skills. build it as much as possible. Product management is a soft skills role, right? Just like any other skill. When you're in the entry level, is when you do most of the runaround. After your first a year or two, most of what's expected from you are soft skills, leading people, emotional intelligence, understanding trade-offs, understanding when to say no, understanding when to say yes, knowing how to manage people, knowing how not to piss people off, knowing how to get your way without being manipulative, right? So learn those soft skills. And people always say find a mentor, but you can have a pool of mentors. It's very rare to find someone that will sit you down and say, my daughter or my son, I learn from you without you even knowing. When you show up, you teach me that I can show up, right? So identify people around you that are doing things right, and have conversations in that direction. And again, find community. Community are niche places with people that understand what you're going through. So you're able to share, you're also able to learn. And then from those small communities, you can also get niche opportunities that you can also apply to yourself. So yeah, that's what I'll say. Joke Akintara on LinkedIn. I am running my second cohort of my bootcamp. Yeah, I just finished the first cohort. Amazing. The feedback beyond my expectations, honestly. Normally. So yeah, if you're looking for the reason why my bootcamp is different is there's a lot of activity around product management, and I try to strip all of that out. If you go to take any course or anything, they'll list a lot of things that you wouldn't on the job. It doesn't really matter. So in 3 weeks, we take people through what they actually use on the job, and it's been many of the people that are in my team that they were in that cohort, that product managers, they were able to apply those things immediately and get feedback immediately. Somebody's boss even reached out to me, So yeah, I recommend that as well. There's a wait list on my bio, Instagram, but Instagram is my safe space. I'm just playful there. But my serious self is on LinkedIn. So yeah.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for this conversation. I will see you in another video. I want to know your thoughts. What was your favorite part of this conversation? What section was your favorite part of this conversation? I'm going to reply every single comment. Also, leave a like and hit the subscribe button to support me. I will see you in another video. Bye for now.